Okay, so this video is concerning templates for your clay tiles, your relief tiles, which you're making at the moment. We've got designs, so we've got our graffiti design. We need to work out firstly what your sort of layers are. So assuming you've worked your layers out at the moment, I've got my background layer, including the sort of cloud of smoke around the outside of the design. I draw around that, cut it out, and what I end up with is this. So this is my sort of backmost layer, my background layer if you like. Okay, then it's very simple. You're going to roll out your clay. I'm sure the camera's wobbling a little bit as I do this. Make sure you've got your batons to the side of your clay. I'm sure by now you all know exactly what they're for, obviously to keep your clay a sort of consistent thickness. Make sure you roll enough for the actual design that you're doing. Backwards and forwards, make sure you've got no air bubbles. I think I'm alright with that, looks good. So we just lay our design on. Roll that corner a little bit. So we've laid the design on, okay with that. Get yourself a potter's knife, don't be scared to use the correct terminology, it's potter's knife. And then very carefully you're going to whiz around the outside. What I tend to do is I cut slightly too far. So I cut, and instead of starting, I can cut beyond it. That gives you a really nice base to pull the clay away later on, because you've cut beyond your mark. Makes your life a little bit easier. Okay, so bear that in mind. Make sure that you're going all the way through the clay. Obviously not too hard, you don't want to put a hole in the mat, but equally you don't want to be tearing at the clay, and I'll do so. Get these on. So as you're doing this, just make sure your template hasn't moved anywhere. It becomes a little bit different, it's not the end of the world. Good thing about clay is you can always add to it and take bits away. And obviously start to remove this as you go if you want. I like to sort of get rid of chunks as I go. I'll do that. You really get what you put into this, so do take your time, be careful about the cuts you're making. Clay won't be able to give you a huge amount of detail, maybe as much as some of you can draw, but don't think that just big chunky sort of shapes are always the best. You can get fiddly if you're that sort of artist, if you like to do a bit more detail. Okay, so that's fine. So that's it. That's my first layer. Okay, so I've got my background shape. It's pretty good, I'm quite happy with that. I don't think there's any air bubbles in there. So that's it, that's first layer absolutely done. That's ready to put a new layer on top of. Don't forget to score it before you join it, use lots of slip. Okay, but that is my base layer for my graffiti relief.